Lord of
Lord of the
meets
Rings
real
fireworks.
world. These rare
Alright.
fireworks use
Who
different
doesn't love
techniques
fireworks?
with awe-inspiring
Let's
results.
watch some fireworks.
From dragons to shapeshifters. Join me as we take a look at 15
50 rare
rare fireworks
fireworks.
that look incredible.
Wow, top
Number
5.
15, the dragon
Firework.
Most fireworks shoot
Whoa,
up,
whoa, whoa,
go
whoa,
off,
whoa.
and then fizzle away. However,
What?
this dragon firework works a little bit differently.
How?
That's because after it's set off, the flames shoot out and then begin to dance around the sky.
How?
And they appear to race each other along
Wow.
twists and turns in a way that makes them look a lot like a flying dragon. Yet, while these dragon fireworks are cool, they aren't all that easy to come
Yeah.
by. So chances
not
are
easy.
you wouldn't be able to fire one of these off in your backyard.
Of course not.
Number
How expensive
14,
are they?
the fiery
The fiery
eye.
eye.
While there are various types of spinning fireworks, few are quite like the Fiery Eye,
Fiery
made
Eye.
by Brothers Fireworks.
Brothers firework.
When launched, it starts out as a dark circle
okay.
with spinning bands, and gradually these bands speed up until the firework looks exactly like an eyeball, as it has a black pupil,
This is just like
blue
a
iris,
chakri.
and a red border around the iris,
If you throw a
and
chakri,
a white shooting effect around the iris to complete the eyeball look. If you launch two of them side by side, you have the makings of a cool yet somewhat creepy fireworks show.
This is just a chakri. It's
Number
been
13,
stuck
plane
on a.
fireworks. If you've ever been to an air show, then you've
Plane
seen planes
firework.
duck, dive, and flip
Yes.
all over the place.
Smoke.
However, an Australian airplane firm by the name of HD Melbourne Aviation
Melbourne.
have taken things to a new extreme by creating fireworks that shoot out of their specialty stunt airplane,
wow.
which is known as the Scandinavian Catwalk.
Scandinavian catwalk.
The Scandinavian
Wow.
Catwalk went viral after it performed at the Aviation Air Show in Melbourne.
Whoa.
And that's because as Sandstorm by Darude played in the background, it soared through the sky, shooting
Sandstorm
lasers
by
and
Darude.
aerial fireworks all the while.
Wow.
As it did so, some of the fireworks were crazier than others,
Whoa.
with a few appearing to engulf the entire plane in flames for long periods of
Whoa.
time, making it look more like a shooting fireball than a stunt aircraft.
Wow.
So yeah, it's fair to say that these specialty fireworks truly are unique.
How heavy must they have been?
Number 12,
The fireworks.
loudest firework.
Loudest.
We can all agree that fireworks are pretty loud, but the sound often being compared
Look
to
at
that of a gun
look at
being
the
shot
light
or a
from the
bomb
screen
going
to my
off
face.
by being absolutely ear-shattering.
Ear-shattering.
And according to Epic Fireworks, which is the UK's largest online fireworks supplier,
Okay.
the Dum Bum
Dum
49
Bum.
shot is easily one of the world's
World's
loudest.
loudest, probably.
Given a noise rating of 10 out of 10, they
10
give
on
off,
10.
quote, intense, powerful blasts that can often be felt in your chest,
Wow.
end quote. And if that's not enough power for you, Epic Fireworks even sells a Dum Bum noise pack
Noise
that can bring
pack.
the noise up to 11.
Oh.
Yet it's not a surprise, given that how loud these are. These crazy fireworks are rarely purchased for fireworks shows, making them truly a rare find.
Truly rare. They're truly
Number
rare.
11, chocolate fireworks.
Chocolate fireworks.
While this may sound a
The
little
Root
crazy,
Sandstorm.
on December 31st of 2002, the chocolate conglomerate Nestle kicked off the new year by setting off a chocolate firework.
How?
Measuring in at 3 meters in
Largest
height
chocolate
and
firework.
1.5
Ugh,
meters
look
in
at these
diameter,
pictures.
it contains 60
Blech.
kilograms of Swiss chocolates and was released at the Hechtplatz in Zurich, Switzerland.
Zurich.
When lit, it reportedly exploded and released all 60 kilograms of chocolate. And
60
as such,
kilograms.
it attained the Guinness World Record for being the world's largest chocolate
Chocolate
firework.
firework.
Yet this chocolate firework leaves a few questions unanswered. After all, how in the world was
Wow.
it possible to heat up a firework to a temperature that was hot enough for it to explode,
Right.
but cool enough not to melt all the chocolate
Right,
inside?
right.
Unfortunately, we'll probably never know, as there appears to be no videos online that shows a recording of the event.
This is some
Number 10.
fakery
fireworks
going on with
glasses.
the Guinness Book of
When you
World
see
Records.
a fireworks show, you can expect to see cool explosions,
Wow.
flashing lights, and bright colors. However,
Yeah, I
if you
want
manage to find a
fireworks.
special pair of 3D fireworks
3D?
glasses, you can take your experience to a whole new level. Sold by American Paper Optics,
Paper Optics.
these glasses have holographic diffraction grating lenses
Okay.
that break light into amazing rainbow bursts. And
Oh.
depending on the effect that you're looking for, you can try
Wow.
out different types of glasses. For example, while most of them allow you to see a
Ooh.
rainbow spectrum of colors
Very
within
nice.
the firework, some, such as the Trippy Diffraction
Trippy
glasses,
Diffraction.
have tie-dye frames and supposedly allow you to see a psychedelic string
Ooh,
of
3D
colors.
glasses.
So if you want the fireworks
Ooh.
experience of a lifetime, then I highly suggest trying to get your hands on some of
No,
these
really.
before the next major
That's
holiday.
cool. That's cool.
Number 9.
Under ice fireworks?
When you see a frozen
We don't
lake,
get
chances
ice,
are
but-
that your first thought isn't to shoot fireworks at it. Yet in 2008, a group of Swedish guys looking for a good time created a viral video of themselves doing just that. In the video, they light several fireworks underwater and then watch as they travel under the ice and create a massive water explosion.
Whoa.
While it may seem strange that fireworks don't go out if placed underwater, they manage to stay lit because of the combustion reaction occurring as the firework goes off. It provides itself with enough oxygen to stay alive. This is very similar to how spaceships are able to function, and despite being in the vacuum of space, the oxygen in their combustion compensates for their lack of oxygen in their surroundings. In any case, while this display is cool, it should be noted that firework explosions are magnified underwater, and they can also cause the local fish to die and then float to the surface. So while they may be cool, I wouldn't suggest setting them off at your local lake or pond. Number 8. Shapeshifters.
Shapeshifters.
Let's face it, most fireworks aren't all that memorable. After all, while they make a loud noise and produce a colorful explosion, most will more or less be forgotten in a few days. However, there are some fireworks that distinguish themselves from the rest by exploding into different shapes. You see, in order to make a shaped firework, all the individual firework casings have to be lined up into the desired configuration. For example, if they're placed in the shape of a smiley face, they should, in theory, create a smiley face. However, this sometimes isn't enough, as it can often be difficult to make sure they're consistent within your line of sight. That's because depending on what angle you're standing at, there's a good chance that the firework won't actually look like its intended shape. So, in order to prevent this from happening, pyrotechnicians will often ensure that all the fireworks in the sequence go off at the same time. This makes the shape the same from all angles and guarantees that the firework will be great. Number 7. Drone works. Drones have exploded in popularity in recent years, and it's not hard to see why. After all, they can do everything from providing fantastic footage to acting as a security detail. Yet it turns out that they aren't just putting photographers and security guards out of business.
Make it a killer drone.
That's because reportedly drone light shows can make a great alternative to fireworks. While drone light shows are still quite new, they're beginning to become more popular because they're not only reusable, but also don't produce the chemical or noise pollution caused by fireworks. In order for a drone to partake in such a show, it
fireworks are expensive
with a good GPS and an LED light system. With some drones, such as those made by Intel, being able to produce more than 4 billion light combinations. However, to date, there are only a few dozen companies worldwide that have the proper permits, training, and technical skills and supplies to plan and carry out such a large-scale drone show. So while these shows may be rare, they're proving to be a lucrative industry moving into the future.
Very lucrative. Very lucrative. Wow.
Number 6. Long exposure fireworks. When filming fireworks, your phone camera is definitely a little bit limiting. After all, you need a professional DSLR camera in order to capture fireworks in this way. And while the upfront cost may be expensive, DSLRs allow you to get the types of pictures that few can ever claim to have in their photo album. Now, the first step to taking a long exposure firework picture is to mount your DSLR on a tripod. Then you've got to turn on long exposure noise reduction. Prepare your camera to a setting that produces the highest quality file size possible. Set the camera to an ISO of 200 or lower, and an aperture of about f11. Then, instead of choosing a shutter speed, set the camera to bulb or B, which allows you to keep the shutter open for as long as you desire. You then expose an entire fireworks burst while keeping the camera manually focused towards it. The end result is a shot that makes the fireworks look 3D. And given how this is impossible to see in real life, we'd say that these hard-to-produce firework pictures are usually far cooler than the real deal.
Long exposure shots.
Number 5, of course. Underwater fireworks.
Underwater, that was under ice.
Generally speaking, most fireworks we look at occur high in the sky. However, there are a couple of ways to create fireworks of sorts that are entirely produced underwater. The easiest way is through the use of some water, oil, and food dye. More specifically, the experiment involves putting room temperature water in one glass and oil with different colors of food coloring that are very lightly mixed inside another. Once the 2 cups are ready, you have to pour the oil into the water glass. Because they don't mix, the oil remains on top with the food coloring. Then, slowly, the food coloring drops begin to fall out of the oil suspension and into the water, creating a colored underwater fireworks show. If you want to see some more heavy-duty underwater fireworks, then you'll have to mix some more heavy-duty substances. More specifically, if you mix distilled water, 100 milliliters of bleach solution, 10 milliliters of hydrochloric acid, and 2 to 3 pebble-sized pieces of calcium carbide, you can create a reaction where underwater sparks that look like fireworks begin to occur as these different parts mix together. Yet, unless you get all the timing just right, it's
But
difficult
this
to pull
can
these
only be
crazy
experienced
fireworks
on a
off.
lab.
Don't forget to wear your safety goggles.
And this is not this is firework.
Number
The previous
4,
one was not
the
fire.
Catherine wheel.
Catherine wheel.
While Catherine wheels are some of the oldest fireworks out there, you usually
Whoa.
don't see them at your typical
Look
fireworks
at the
show.
smoke.
Essentially, Catherine wheels are usually powder-filled spiral tubes
Powder.
that look a lot like wheels, and when ignited, not only create sparks and flames, but also rotate quickly in order to create an incredible spinning motion.
Okay.
While these fireworks may seem
Whoa.
pretty advanced, they actually first came about all the way back in 1761.
1761.
This perhaps
Whoa.
explains why they have a name that is very
Whoa.
Christian in origin. You see, the Catherine wheel was named after St. Catherine of
Catherine.
Alexandria, who, after being condemned to death
No.
and ordered to be crushed by a massive wheel,
Damn.
allegedly managed to avoid this terrible torture by touching the wheel, which caused it to miraculously fall to pieces.
Wow.
Now, while you don't need to worry
Whoa.
about your Catherine wheel falling to pieces,
Look at the
they are
smoke.
sometimes avoided due to their potential to spin out of control if not set off properly. Yet that hasn't stopped professionals from trying to make these wheels as massive as possible. To date, the largest Catherine wheel was made by Lilly Fireworks Factory
Wow.
in Malta in June of 2011.
Malta.
Comes in at a total of 32 meters in diameter. The whole thing was freestanding and managed to complete a total of 4 rotations using its own propulsion.
4 rotations.
Yeah, this crazy firework was pretty incredible. Number 3, the homemade
Roman candle.
Roman candles are relatively small and will let off a long, bright plume of light. However, in 2016, a Ukrainian man by the name of Yuri Yanev decided to make a massive Roman candle that was like no other.
Okay.
In order to make his crazy homemade creation, he collected 10,000 sparklers
10,000.
and then lined them together in a massive drum garbage bin that was lined with aluminum foil.
Aluminum foil, okay.
Then, after lighting a small wooden fuse that lit up multiple sparklers at once, the 50-kilogram firework went off.
50
The
kg.
result was a firework that, over the time span of about 30 seconds, launched a massive flame plume into the sky, making it pretty impressive considering the fact that it was made in Yanev's garage. According to Yanev, quote, everything about the video was pretty dangerous, so we had to be extremely careful
Of course,
when
that's
we were setting
one
up.
wrong
One
spark
move and it could have gone off. But it was the weather that proved to be the biggest problem. We had to wait till it wasn't windy so that the sparklers would actually work and not get blown out. End quote.
See?
Despite the initial problems, I think the massive height of the flame and the fact that the whole thing continued to burn for 2 hours afterwards
Bapre.
indicates that the firework launch was a massive success.
2 hours after it burned.
Number 2, the world's largest firework.
World's
You
largest.
won't find a 1,000-kilogram firework at your local party
Whoa.
store, making these massive fireworks exceptionally rare.
Look at it, it's a
When
mountain
it comes
top.
to pure size and mass, there is no firework in the world that is quite like the one set off at the Steamboat Springs Winter
Steamboat.
Carnival in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Colorado.
Set off on the night of
Steamboat.
February 9th, 2020. Its weight of over
2020.
1,200 kilograms and length of
1,200
157 centimeters in diameter handed it the Guinness World Record for being the world's largest aerial fireworks show.
World's
As
largest.
it edged out a 1,087-kilogram firework that was launched in January of 2018 in the UAE.
UAE.
Now, this massive firework was created by a team known as Steamboat Fireworks,
Steamboat,
which is led by a fireworks enthusiast and pyromaniac named Tim Borden.
Timor.
And the team had to go through quite a lot in order to break the
Wow.
record. Steamboat Fireworks began its work in 2017
Wow.
when they launched a shell that was 122 centimeters
4
in
feet.
diameter, with this being recognized as the largest shell ever in the Western
Largest
Hemisphere.
shell.
Then in 2019, they attempted to fire off an 1,100-kilogram firework,
1,100.
yet this ultimately failed to launch off the ground.
Okay.
However, in 2020, they successfully launched their record-breaking firework, which, according to Tim Borden, was only possible after they invested hundreds of hours into the project.
Hundreds of hours, yes. It's
However,
about a
given how
time.
impressive the final result was, I'd say that the time commitment was totally worth it.
Bapre.
Number 1. Blue
Blue
fireworks.
fireworks.
While you've almost certainly seen your fair share of red, orange, green,
Yes,
and yellow
yes,
fireworks,
yes.
chances are that you've never
That's
seen
true.
a blue one.
We only see it in
That's because from a
Dubai.
scientific standpoint, these fireworks are extremely
The
difficult to
blue color
manufacture.
in nature is
Now,
very
to
difficult.
understand why, you need to understand the basics of around how fireworks function.
Okay.
The majority of fireworks have 5 main ingredients:
5 main.
fuel, coloring agent, glue, fuse, and pellet.
Uh-huh.
More specifically, the fuel is usually gunpowder, and
Gunpowder.
the coloring agent is usually some sort of salt-based chemical compound.
Okay.
And in order for a firework to go off, all of these components have to be glued together, put into a pellet, and then lit with a fuse so they can be fired off. Now, when it comes to the coloring agent, most colors are pretty simple. After all, you can use sodium salts to create yellow, strontium salts for red, aluminum salts for gray, and barium salts for
Barium
green.
salts for green.
However, while copper chloride should theoretically produce blue, it
Copper
doesn't always
chloride.
work out. That's because if the temperature gets too hot, the blue-producing chemicals in the copper chloride begin to break down and fade away. While alternatives such as arsenic were used in the past, regulators have put a lid on the use of such dangerous elements. And to this day, scientists still haven't found a commercially viable and safe way to create blue fireworks. This is made worse by the fact that there's not much incentive to make them. After all, since the sky is often some shade of blue, blue fireworks are hard to see in both the daytime and nighttime sky. So while there are technically some extremely expensive blue fireworks out there, chances of you finding some without special connections are slim to none.
Wow, man. Whew. I want to do a giant fireworks show, of course, and I will. You know what? And I'll record it and I'll post it in this channel. Check out all his drawings, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe to my channel, okay? It's not like it does anything, but you know, 10 mil is the number. 10 mil is the number. Bye bye.